Hello and welcome to Health Matters on Channels Television. Thanks for joining us. I am Mary Alale Yusuf. It's a time to look back and reflect on changes one would like to make. What better time to quit smoking? Smoking has been shown to put people at risk for several ailments. The World Health Organization puts the tobacco death toll at almost 6 million annually and estimates that it could rise to 8 million without intervention. Almost 80% of 1 billion smokers worldwide reside in middle and low income countries. Today, we discuss quitting. How does one quit and stay free? With me on the show is a tobacco control expert, senior lecturer and epidemiologist at the Department of Community Health and Primary Care, College of Medicine, University of Lagos. She is also a consultant public health physician and heads the recently established Tobacco Cessation Clinic at the Lagos University Teaching Hospital. Dr. Kemi Odukoya.
Thank you,
welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, first of all, before we quit, let's talk about why we should quit. What does tobacco do? Why is it so bad?
Oh, thanks. That's an excellent question. Why are we so concerned about tobacco? Primarily because tobacco contains so many chemicals that are harmful to health.
I hear 4,000.
In fact, now it is put at 7,000.
7,000
And of this 7,000, we know that 69 of them cause cancer. So people who take tobacco in any form are literally taking in things that cause cancer into their body. And the thing is, while the lungs usually are the primary organ concerned, it causes cancer of almost every organ in the body. And cancers are just one terrible thing that could be as a result of tobacco. You could have so many other things linked to heart disease, infertility, linked to problems in pregnancy, with children. The list is enormous. And we don't have to smoke. You know, this is something that people choose to do, and there is help available. Those who are smoking can stop.
Someone tells me that there's cancer of every single part of the body except maybe the teeth and the nails. Is that true?
That's possible, yes, I know that. Almost every organ in the body does have the possibility of becoming cancerous. But when we do take in cancer-causing chemicals, then we put ourselves at risk of coming down with cancer.
Why do people start anyway?
Good question. Most people start, the evidence is clear. Most people start when they're young. Most people start out of curiosity, peer pressure. Many times people are not aware of the reason why they start. People just start smoking for whatever reason. But the thing is, what we know is the reasons why people start are usually different from the reasons why people stay or continue using it. So one might start because of peer pressure or curiosity, but then tobacco contains a wonderful substance called nicotine. I call it wonderful because this is a substance that goes to the brain and causes intense craving. And that craving is really hard for some people to, to ignore. So while one may start based on peer pressure, then when the process of smoking becomes a habit, then nicotine keeps saying, I need more, and then even when you educate such people on why smoking can do this and that and why it's harmful to the body, you find that these people might not be able to, it's tough.
We do hear that there's some people who died and stop.
Yeah,
is that a regular thing? Is that?
Well, that happens. It being regular, I would say no. The way the body is wired, there are biological differences in the human body. Some people, nicotine doesn't affect them as badly. And for those kinds of people, they will tell you, oh, I can stop whenever I want to stop. And some of them actually do whenever they feel like. But the thing is that for those people, the intensity of the nicotine craving is a little less. While some other people do have very strong cravings. And when they have very strong cravings. Well,
what do they look like?
It's excellent question. It's not like it looks in any particular way. It's just what happens is nicotine goes to some parts of the body, and particularly the brain. And what it does is that it releases some chemicals that that make the human body want more and more of it. So the same way you would have an addiction with cocaine and any other kind of a drug
So
of
if such
addiction,
a
you could have
person
that
says, let me stop, they could begin to sweat,
Now,
get irritated.
an excellent question, because what usually happens is some people want to stop, they desire to stop, but when they're low on nicotine, then they have what they call withdrawal symptoms. These things can be really strong. They can be very uncomfortable. And many people would just rather take another cigarette as opposed to go through those terrible,
Which
terrible
will quiet
feelings.
down those
clearly,
symptoms.
sometimes it works in a matter of seconds. So,
Well, you know,
yeah.
for it to work in a matter of seconds, that does make the substance very dangerous.
Very dangerous, very addictive, yes. And many people who want to stop started off when they were younger. Now they're older, they're beginning to think, I want to stop, but it's tough. It's tough.
Okay, if somebody wants to stop and maybe has tried 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, and keeps falling back, where does the person go to for help, since he can't help himself, so to speak?
Yeah, now, the very first thing is people need to know why they need to stop. We're stopping because we need to keep our bodies free of the harmful effects of tobacco. Tobacco use kills in whatever forms, whether smoked or smokeless tobacco. It does harm to the body.
There is smokeless tobacco?
Oh yes, there is smokeless tobacco. Well, the commoner forms are cigarettes, cigars, but you do have smokeless tobacco, and there are all
the ones
sorts
you
of
chew.
local names. Yes, snuff, chewing tobacco. They have many local names like tabas, shisha, and things like that. They're all dangerous. They're all harmful. They all have terrible chemicals that cause heart disease, cancer, and many other illnesses. So the first thing is the person needs to know, I need to do this for myself and for my health, and sometimes for the health of my family, because the challenge we do have is that tobacco use doesn't kill instantly. It's not like malaria where, okay, you have a headache and you think, oh yes, the tobacco I took today is giving me a headache. Unfortunately, it's a chronic illness. There's a long lag time. It kills gradually, over time, but surely. So the first thing is you need to know, this is something I need to do. And then the second thing is, it's important to set a quit date. I mean, this is the end of the year. It's time that some people are reflecting on, okay, how do I want to have maybe a better coming year? Whether you choose to pick the 1st of January or not, that's not the issue. But it's usually, we say, at least a month before the date. You tell yourself,
Okay, so you
I
want to
want
quit,
to stop.
and you thought about that today.
Yeah.
You should give yourself like a month from
Yes,
now.
usually we say, yes, at least a couple of weeks or a month before, and then you use that time to think it through and get your mind prepared that I really do want to stop. Then the next thing is you need to tell the significant people in your life. That's important. We all have significant people in our lives. It could be a spouse, it could be children, it could be a coworker, a close friend. I want to stop, and I need you to
How about
help
your
me.
smoking buddies?
That's a good thing. Now, it depends on whether the smoking buddies are positive or negative influence. The other thing that people need to do when they want to stop is avoid trigger situations.
Okay.
We all know what our trigger situations are. For some people, it's driving past a certain shop. For some people, it's going to a certain friend's house. For some people, it's just stress of whatever form. It's important to, ahead of time, think through what are my smoking triggers, and ahead of time say, okay, this is what I'm going to do when I get stressed. Instead of picking up a cigarette, I will do this. This is what I'm going to do. Instead of going to my friend's house, I could pick up the phone and call him, or something like that. So it is important to identify the triggers. It's important to set a quit date. It's important to let significant members of your social circles know. And it's also important to know that help exists aside from you.
Okay.
We are fortunate in Lagos University Teaching Hospital, where I work now. We do have a tobacco cessation clinic. So you can walk into the hospital where you will receive help, sometimes with drugs, sometimes we don't use drugs. But we do know that help exists, and that help is available.
Is part of the treatment counseling?
Oh, clearly, yes, clearly. We do a lot of what we call psychotherapy. We work with people to see how we can work with them to help them stop. Some people need medication too.
Okay, so
but
it's like every patient is individualized.
clearly, yes. Every patient, we work with that patient, see what will work for that patient. Yes, and these things do work.
They do work.
Yes,
do you
we
have evidence that people have been able to quit because of the help?
Yes, I have worked with patients, even though not in Louth, because we just started the clinic in Louth, where we have seen people who have worked through sometimes psychotherapy, sometimes with the drugs, and they have been able to successfully stop. Yeah.
What are some of the, well, for want of a better word now, I would call them props that they use for people to stop? I hear about nicotine patches. I don't understand. A nicotine patch, does it contain nicotine?
That's a good question. There are many kinds of drugs that we use to help people stop, broadly classified into two: nicotine replacement drugs and the non-nicotine replacement drugs. Now, we need to know that nicotine on its own is a drug and can be something that causes an addiction. However, what causes the harmful cancer causing, the heart problems, the infertility, and all the things that, all the negative things that we usually associate with tobacco use is usually not the nicotine. It's the
really?
tobacco. Nicotine is one of the
Explain the
constituents of
difference.
tobacco. So nicotine is a constituent of tobacco.
Okay.
It's in tobacco. But then the tobacco leaf itself is harmful and contains cancer-causing chemicals and contains chemicals that affect the heart, cause heart disease, heart attack, and things like that. So what some drug manufacturers have done is they've taken the nicotine out, and they're like, okay, we know nicotine is what makes you, because really, if you took nicotine out of a tobacco or of a cigarette, nobody will want to use it.
Really? Why?
Because what causes the
Okay, that's the dependency drug
it's
in the
because
tobacco.
of the nicotine.
So if there was no nicotine in it, they wouldn't be dependent.
It's highly unlikely there'll be no market.
Okay, so is that how they make the patch or the replacement drug?
No, now the idea behind the nicotine replacement drugs is for a brief period. This is not for a long period. Usually a month to about 3 months. We tail people off nicotine because we know that their brains are used to nicotine. The withdrawal symptoms are strong. It's something that so instead of reaching up for nicotine and tobacco to reduce the nicotine cravings, we're like, okay, take pure nicotine and we tail that down. There's a regimen for that. We tail that down over a period of time until the symptoms and the cravings are reduced and the person is not only nicotine-free, but more importantly, tobacco-free.
How about the e-cigarette? What's that?